I'm Amy Cherry. We're learning more about the elderly man who took his own life outside a gas station on US 1. Deputies say 73-year-old Edward Ratcliffe had murdered his stepdaughter just hours earlier. Ratcliffe had apparently driven from his Georgia home to Cocoa last Thursday when he shot and killed his stepdaughter, 54-year-old Amy Mitchell. Deputies say he then headed north through Flagler County and pulled over on the Flagler-St. John's line at the BP near Princess Place Preserve and shot himself. As far as a motive, deputies say Ratcliffe blamed his stepdaughter for his divorce from her mother.
This portion of WNZF Local News, a service of the Daytona Beach International Airport. Fly to the Big Apple in a New York minute on JetBlue from the Daytona Beach International Airport.
A rash of recent burglaries in Flagler County may have been fueled by drugs, according to authorities. Peter Killeen reports.
Sheriff Rick Staley says the break-ins happened late last week.
Thursday night, we had a rash of auto burglaries in the P section of Palm Coast, including a residential burglary where a garage door had been left open.
Staley says as the investigation got underway,
observant deputy saw two individuals walking down the sidewalk in the area of Royal Palms and Point Pleasant and stopped to investigate them as he recognized one of them was currently on probation.
Police found a backpack in a backyard with guns inside and the key fob to a car that had been reported stolen. Turns out those suspects were on quite a spree.
The vehicle has been recovered. All the guns that were stolen from inside this garage that had been left open have been recovered, except for possibly one.
Staley says the confiscated weapons now off the street could have been sold for cash or drugs. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Peter Killeen.
In trying to get to whose desk is it on, it's kind of been like an Abbott Costello who's on first routine.
Frustrating. That's how State Rep Paul Renner describes the slow process of getting reimbursement from FEMA in the wake of Hurricane Irma.
Stories of past storms where it took, upwards of 3, 4, or 5 years to get all their payments through FEMA, and it's unacceptable.
Appearing on WNZF's Free for All Friday, Renner says what needs to happen is local, state, and federal governments should all be looking at requests simultaneously rather than one after the other.
I think it's kind of sitting in inboxes and becomes an elongated process that really shouldn't be so elongated. But my understanding is the FEMA process is very complex, is a charitable way to put it, and because of that, it really slows a lot of things down.
Flagler Beach City Manager Larry Newsom knows the complex process all too well.
So far, we've had one submittal obligated of about $58,000, which is our very first submittal for our engineering consultants to come in and help us prepare for our public assistance submittal to Washington, to the state, then to Washington, to actually get delegated as a public assistance. That's always your first step. That means you're now declared and you can start submitting through FEMA.
It's the first step for medical marijuana dispensaries to open in Flagler Beach. John Arking has the details.
The Flagler Beach City Commission has moved forward a plan allowing medical marijuana dispensaries to open within its borders, but only within a very limited area. The commission on Thursday voted unanimously to approve the first reading of an ordinance clearing the way for dispensaries. A final reading will take place at a future meeting. Under the plan, dispensaries would be restricted to areas zoned highway commercial. But due to the November 2016 vote approving a state constitutional amendment legalizing medical marijuana, Flagler Beach officials were forced to either ban dispensaries altogether or treat them equally as pharmacies. They chose the latter option, an approach also being considered at the county level. John Arking, Flagler's Morning News.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.